Everyone experiences rejection in one way or another in their lives. Whether it's a job opportunity, a romantic relationship, or a friendship, rejection is pretty much part of the human experience. When it comes to online dating, it's not much different. I'm Dr. Ana Costa, I'm a clinical psychologist, and welcome to Surviving Tinder. A New York Times report mentioned that there are more than 1 billion profile swipes per day on Tinder, and that Tinder makes 12 million matches per day. So hang on, let me repeat those stats again. There are more than 1 billion swipes and only 12 million matches. So if we do some simple maths, 1 billion minus 12 million, there are 988 million rejections per day. Wow, that's a lot of rejection happening on Tinder. And that's only in the very first stage of the process, matching with someone. The rejection will very much likely continue further down the line. So most people fear being rejected both in dating and in life. And don't take me wrong, feeling rejected is not a pleasant experience. In fact, rejection appears to activate the same regions in the brain that physical pain does. However, your fear of rejection can hold you back and can stop you from taking action and achieving life-enhancing goals such as finding a great job or finding a great partner. A common mistake people do is to avoid any activities where they may be rejected. However, when it comes to dating, being rejected by the other person or conversely rejecting the other person is sort of part of the journey. Another mistake people make is to take rejection personally, to make it something about themselves and attribute rejection to some perceived flaw. For example, I'm not interesting enough, or attractive enough, or witty enough, intelligent enough, whatever it is. And as you can imagine, living your life trying to avoid rejection, or even worse, blaming yourself if you got rejected, it's only gonna make you suffer. So what we aim for is to develop psychological flexibility. What's that, I hear you ask? Well, psychological flexibility is the ability to be present while being aware of your thoughts and feelings without trying to change them or to be controlled by them, and at the same time to take effective action. And depending on the situation, this could mean persisting in or changing the behavior in the pursuit of your values and your goals. So what's the impact of that? So if you avoid dating because of fear of being rejected, I get it. Then in the short term, that may protect you from being rejected. But in the long term, it may limit your opportunities to find a partner. And if finding a partner is something you really want deep in your heart, then it would be a great loss not to do so because of your fear of being rejected. So if you go on dates, but you blame yourself when you get rejected by someone, it will make your dating experience far more painful than it has to be. So what's the solution? Well, the good news is that it is possible to work through your fears of rejection, and acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, can help you with that. So ACT won't necessarily make your feelings of rejection go away, but it will definitely help you handle them in a much more effective way. And how you handle rejection will have an immense impact on your dating experience and your overall happiness. Okay, so I want to give you 3 tips from ACT in terms of managing rejection. Okay, so tip number 1, acknowledge and make room for your pain. So what I mean is, if you've been rejected by someone you've been dating and you were getting quite keen on them, it sucks. I get it. So first, I encourage you to notice with openness and curiosity the painful feelings and thoughts of rejection that are present within you. Our default mode is to turn away from our pain as soon as possible by avoiding it, denying it, or distracting from it. We may turn to alcohol or junk food or drugs, or just zoning out in front of the TV or withdrawing from social activities. So the list is endless in terms of how we try to escape or distract ourselves from our emotional pain. However, those activities are not really kind ways to treat ourselves. So to put it into perspective, you wouldn't tell your best friend to mindlessly watch TV as a way to cope with being rejected, would you? However, you probably do that to yourself, right? So a much more helpful and kind way to deal with rejection is to First, express what you're noticing in a non-judgmental way. For example, you might say, I'm noticing painful feelings of rejection, or I'm noticing thoughts of being a loser, or I'm noticing sadness and anger. And as you do that, you sort of open up and make room for those difficult thoughts and feelings, and you just allow them to flow through you without fighting them, running away from them, or being controlled by them. Okay, tip number 2. Detach yourself from self-judgment. And what I mean is learning to separate from your own thoughts and beliefs and see them for what they are, which is just like strings of words and pictures, is a really important component of ACT, and one that will be quite handy when dealing with rejection. So for example, if your mind is anything like most humans' minds, you will know too well that your mind is quite quick to judge you or to criticize you or to pointing out your flaws and failures, and generally telling you in hundreds of different ways that you're not good enough. So if you've been rejected, then bingo, your mind will have the perfect excuse to really give you a hard time by coming up with lots of harsh self-talk. While we cannot magically stop our minds from speaking to us in that way, we can learn to diffuse or to detach from that self-criticism that our minds bombard us with. How can we do that? Well, we can notice and name and unhook ourselves from those thoughts. We can learn to see them just as thoughts or images without believing them or going along with them, and we can allow them to come and to go without getting caught up in them. Okay, tip number 3, be your best friend. So when we see someone else in distress, we immediately feel compelled to soothe their pain. However, when it comes to ourselves, that isn't always the case. So think about how would you treat your best friend if they were in your situation and had just been rejected. What kind words, for example, would you tell them? For example, I'm here for you, or I know this is really difficult. And what kind gestures would you do to them? Maybe give them a hug? And what kind deeds would you do for them? Maybe bring them dinner, or suggest to go for a walk, or spend quality time with them. I invite you to now use those same words in that same tone of voice you would do with a loved one, but this time with yourself. I also invite you to use those kind gestures with yourself. Yes, you can self-hug, and you can also do any kind deeds in the form of self-care rituals or self-soothing activities. For example, yoga, or perhaps a walk in nature. Lastly, spend time with people who care about you and who treat you well. So it may be helpful to let those people know you've been rejected, so you're more likely to receive their care and love. Is up to you. So in summary, when you are looking for love and intimacy, rejection will be part of the process, and being able to bounce back from rejection is critical to finding intimate relationships. If you avoid taking a chance for fear of getting hurt, then you will be alone. So practicing these ACT skills will help you cope with rejection in a much healthier way. If you want to know more about Awake, check the website below, and if you want to check the next video, just click on the link there.